Thanks for tuning in to this week's news recap. First headline: crypto exchanges race to go public. Coinbase filed an amended S-1 with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission on Wednesday, disclosing the exchange has registered roughly 115 billion shares of Class A common stock. In preparation for the public listing, which does not yet have a date, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong hosted a virtual AMA, or Ask Me Anything, on Reddit over the last 3 days, with the hope that, quote, investors, regardless of affiliation or size, have access to information and have the opportunity to engage with us. eToro is set to go public via a special purpose acquisition company, or SPAC, with a valuation of approximately $10.4 billion. Betsy Cohen, chair of FinTech Acquisition Corp. 5, the company behind the SPAC deal, praised eToro as, quote, a social network platform that will be very helpful for younger investors. eToro has more than 20 million users, projects $1 billion in revenue for 2021, and currently offers 93 cryptocurrencies to its customers. Kraken, which disclosure is a previous sponsor of my shows, is also considering going public, though there are conflicting reports on how exactly it would do so. The block reported that Kraken could go public in the next year via a direct listing. Fox Business News reporter Charles Gasparino tweeted that Kraken execs are considering going public through a SPAC or IPO sometime in 2022. Kraken CEO Jesse Powell recently showed interest in going public, saying in a February Bloomberg interview, quote, we are certainly on track, though $10 billion is a low valuation. I wouldn't be interested in issuing shares at that price. Meanwhile, if you're wondering how well the crypto exchange business is doing, on-chain market analyst Willy Woo published a chart estimating that 35,000 new Bitcoin users a day are arriving on-chain. He says that means that crypto exchanges are, quote, likely adopting an additional 100,000 users per day right now. In related centralized finance news, CFI news, Binance is being investigated by the CFTC to determine whether the exchange permitted U.S. residents to buy and sell derivatives without registering with the agency first. While the report noted that Binance, quote, hasn't been accused of wrongdoing, BNB, the exchange's token, dropped 6% immediately, though it has since recovered some ground. Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao, or CZ, tweeted a response calling the report FUD and encouraging customers to keep biddling. Next headline: Morgan Stanley to offer clients access to Bitcoin funds. Morgan Stanley is partnering with NYDIG and Galaxy Digital to become the first large U.S. bank to offer clients access to Bitcoin funds. CNBC reports that the move was announced through an internal memo to its financial advisors, directly responding to client demand for Bitcoin exposure. The offering comes with a few caveats, however. Customers must have at least $2 million in assets held by the investment bank. Morgan Stanley is also limiting Bitcoin investments to a maximum of 2.5% of their total net worth. 2 of the funds will be offered through Mike Novogratz's Galaxy Digital. The third is a joint offering from asset manager FS Investments and NYDIG, the Bitcoin subsidiary to Stoneridge. Morgan Stanley was not the only bank to make a crypto move this week. Bank of New York Mellon, amongst others, is investing in Fireblocks, a crypto custodian startup. The Series C round raised $133 million. Additionally, the SEC acknowledged VanEck's Bitcoin ETF application on Monday. The SEC now has a 45-day window to make a decision on the proposal, although they can extend the review period up to 240 days to make a final decision. If approved, the Bitcoin ETF would be the first product of its kind in the U.S. Next headline: BitMEX founders begin the process of surrender. According to the block, Arthur Hayes, former CEO of BitMEX, plans to surrender to authorities as early as next month, with a proposed $10 million bail. He will fly to Hawaii on April 6th from his current residence in Singapore and has proposed to continue residing in Singapore with pre-approved travel to New York as part of his bail conditions. Co-founder Ben Delo surrendered to U.S. authorities on Monday, where he was subsequently released on a $20 million bail. Next headline: Concerns about Bitcoin's climate impact grows. Andrew Ross Sorkin of the New York Times wrote an article on Bitcoin's carbon footprint, beginning with a Bill Gates quote from a February interview. Quote, Bitcoin uses more electricity per transaction than any other method known to mankind, and so it's not a great climate thing. The piece also mentions a Cambridge University study that calculates that the annual carbon emissions of Bitcoin is equal to New Zealand or Argentina. However, he notes the Norwegian energy company Aker's Bitcoin spinoff, CT, is working on using renewables to power Bitcoin mining. A tweet thread from Mustafa Yilham, Vice President of Global Business Development at Bitcoin miner Bixen, explained that a Bitcoin miner's primary goal is to, quote, use the cheapest electricity rate available, but it just happens to be that renewable energy, hydropower, and other excessive waste energy similar to flare gas are cheapest. In China, he explains, miners migrate to different regions based on the season to be able to use 100% renewable energy during rainy summers when areas like Sichuan produce excess hydropower. Mustafa estimates that miners in Siberia, Iceland, and Sweden are probably close to 100% renewable energy. In case you missed it, we covered this topic on last Friday's podcast with Brendan McGill, co-founder of Offsetra and Carbon.fyi, who said that Offsetra estimates that 70% of proof-of-work mining is performed using fossil fuels. Next headline. Some Nifty Gateway users hacked while NFTs generate debate. A small group of Nifty Gateway users were hacked. The account takeovers targeted accounts without two-factor authentication, which is not currently mandatory on the site. The popular non-fungible token platform returned the stolen art to its customers as the hacker failed to move the NFTs off of Nifty Gateway's platform, where the company controls the private keys. The lessons here are, number one, securing cryptographic wallets and keys should be a priority, and two-factor authentication is always a good idea. Number two, if you don't own the keys to your wallet, you don't own the NFT or any tokens associated with that address. Meanwhile, the debate over what exactly gives NFTs value continued. Nick Carter, partner at Castle Island Ventures, wrote in a post that the NFT process is neither God's gift nor doomed or bound to crash. He describes NFTs as a wrapper for content that is misconstrued as a product rather than a process. Carter is most intrigued by an NFT's ability to tightly link IP and digital content from creator to consumer, as well as the assurances of exclusivity that come with the minting process. Jimmy Song, a Bitcoin educator and developer, wrote that NFTs are a bubble, quote, ripe for popping, much in the same way ICOs came and went. He points to low liquidity, fraudulent/stolen artwork, and demand limited to ETH holders as reasons, quote, NFTs are doomed to crash. A recent CoinDesk column by Ajay Tripathi, the head of institutional business at Aave, argued that NFTs aren't just one thing, but will have multiple impacts. One, they will create digitally native token markets for off-chain assets. Two, they'll bring non-technical people into crypto through art and digital collectibles. And three, they'll force legal frameworks to align on-chain and off-chain rights. Next headline. Vlad Zamfir believes Casper Labs is misappropriating his name. Vlad Zamfir, a blockchain researcher formerly of the Ethereum Foundation, filed a complaint with the U.S. Southern District of California Court against Casper Labs on Wednesday, claiming that Casper Labs is using the name Casper without his express consent. CBC Casper is the name of his branch of proof-of-stake research, he says, which he began in conjunction with the Ethereum Foundation with the Ethereum founder Vitalik Buterin in 2014. Vitalik's research on the topic is now called Ethereum 2.0. Along with branding many products under the name Casper, Zamfir alleges that Casper Labs has attempted to obtain ownership of the Casper trademark, which he says is almost exclusively used in reference to Mr. Zamfir's proof-of-stake research. Next headline. BitClout garners suspicion. A new decentralized protocol named BitClout garnered derision and outrage on crypto Twitter this week. The platform allows users to speculate on people and posts with real money. Every profile on the platform receives its own creator coin that can be bought and sold. The idea is to allow people to invest in profiles they assume will become popular, to basically invest in clout. Larry Cermak, director of research at The Block, tweeted on Wednesday that, quote, the BitClout scheme has so far been able to raise 2,705 bitcoins, which is approximately $155 million, before warning users to, quote, stay away from this garbage. Time for fun bits. Elon Musk teases with a song about NFTs. In a fourth wall breaking tweet, Elon Musk announced that he would be, quote, selling a song about NFTs as an NFT. While he later decided to pass on the actual sale, where he had an offer of $1 million, I still think the entire tweet is worth a listen. I could write more or talk more about Elon and his Tesla purchase and his weird affinity for Doge, but I think people might have had the best response which was to produce an artwork of non-fungible Elons in which the Tesla CEO rides naked on a Shiba Inu while holding a gold trophy with the phrase NFE engraved on it. Finally, last fun bits. The Onion publishes an informative guide to NFTs. I highly recommend reading The Onion's Guide to NFTs. Here is one highlight. Question: isn't their value completely made up? Answer: there's something you should know about money in general. All right, thanks for tuning in. To learn more about MetaCoven, Benapurse, and the Everyday's Christie auction, be sure to check the links in the show notes for this episode. Don't forget, we are now on YouTube. Subscribe to the Unchained YouTube podcast channel today. Unconfirmed is produced by me, Laura Shin, with help from Anthony Yoon, Mark Murdoch, and Daniel Ness. Thanks for listening.